podcast about people making the world a better place.
It's 5:30 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Hopefully they're not watching the show. Welcome to Aardvark Interviews, where I get the greatest guests that I can compile in about 20 minutes. And tonight's guest is a very special guest. He works in a baby diaper institution. They make baby diapers in Binghamton, New York. And welcome, Brett. Kellyanne, what's the name of the production company?
Hello, Hooray.
What's the name of the show?
Aardvark Interviews.
What's the name of the Patreon account?
Hello, Hooray.
Okay, thank you, Kellyanne.
It says Hello, Hooray right here.
Now, what's the name of the Aardvark Patreon account?
Aardvark Interviews.
Yeah, that wasn't so bad, was it?
Yeah.
All right, welcome to Aardvark Interviews. Also on the panel, we have a frequent contributor, Dr. Hozey, world-renowned sociologist. Just came back from Lima, Peru. This is our 40th episode. Oh my God, we're still on the air.
40 episode.
All
Wow,
right.
that's amazing. Thank you so much for that, Teddy.
Thank you,
That's
Teddy.
That's cool.
That's our producer who is behind the scenes, but he's also coming up with a show. We're going to talk about that later. Today we have Brett Greene, Kellyanne, Dr. Hozey, as I remarked, was in Lima, Peru last week, giving a sociological paper on disturbances in our future. Now, I don't know what the hell that means. Maybe he'll explain it, maybe not. Brett, thank you for coming on the show today. Brett is a musician, as you can tell by the hair. But Brett is, and he was a big musician. He had his own band and everything, you know. And what kind of band did you have, Brett?
Rock and roll band, hard rock, but all different kinds of music. We did a bunch of different things. If I can hawk some of my wares, I'll be happy to show you a little bit right here. This was the group.
Palm.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So you had an
think
album?
so.
You had an album
Yeah.
when vinyl is?
That's a CD,
Yeah.
not an
I don't know what the hell I'm saying.
Yeah, we had a
All right.
CD. We had a CD. We might have even had an LP. No, we had yeah, we had a CD.
Did you have
We had a couple
posters?
Oh yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
cool. Where did you play?
A whole bunch of places in and around New York and domestically. We did a little bit of international, but mostly in and around New York, the East Coast, across the country a little bit. The big clubs in New York, of course, CBGB's.
CBGB's.
Friday and Saturday nights. Louise was very kind to us, and so was Hilly. May he rest in peace. Hilly Crystal, that is.
Heebie-jeebie? Like heebie-jeebie? Like
No,
Or-
CB.
No, it was CBGB's, Kelly. And it stood for country blues and bluegrass, and assorted gormandizers. It was kind of some kind of crazy stuff. They didn't really serve food there.
Now, didn't the Ramones come up? Remember the Ramones?
Yeah.
Did you meet any of the Ramones?
Sure. Joey used to hang out on 9th Street all the time. That was like a celebrity block. He was very, very approachable. Really nice guy. Very, very, very nice guy. Yeah. He kind of stood out. He was like, I don't know, 6'4", 6'8", something like that. Tall, lanky kind of guy. And I once auditioned through Frankie Gibson for some like mashup version. I think it was Marky who was putting something together, and I had to play The Job That Ate My Brain.
Excellent. That's excellent. I think the show eats my brain every week. But Brett, Mr. Brett Greene, I got to ask you this question. Do you think drugs were very rampant back in those days?
In the 70s and 80s, quite rampant.
Quite
Quite
rampant.
rampant. Yeah,
Now,
yeah, yeah.
do people think they play better or get in a better head? That the drugs assist them in their creative excellence. And you were the lead singer. You were the main man. You weren't in the back playing a friggin' tambourine or something. You were the main man. How do you think the drug culture back then, what was the head or the mindset of a musician like yourself, a leading musician like yourself, about drugs and those kind of things?
A lot of people, a lot of people did drugs, and this starts way back in even like the 40s and the 50s,
Oh,
Andrew, with artists like Billie Holiday and Charlie Parker, and Parker was pretty much considered one of the greatest saxophone players that ever lived. And I don't know, I mean, he felt that it was part of who he was. A lot of musicians got into drugs and then it ultimately consumed them in the process. There's a Oscar Levant, who was a pianist and a raconteur and an interpreter of George Gershwin's music. He was a personal friend of Gershwin, and
oh.
also kind of a nutter. Once said this. He said that there's a fine line between genius and insanity, and I've erased it. And and that was he also got into trouble with drugs. He, oh, by the way, he was a composer too. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, quite a quite a
Oscar
character.
Levant. Okay.
Yeah.
Kellyanne, let me ask you a question. Do you think you've erased that line?
Well, I got to admit, I may have dabbled in a little few of the addictions, the sex, drugs, and rock and roll myself in the maybe the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. So yeah, I had a few issues in my life as well. So I kind of can totally relate to that. And erasing some lines, I think I draw new ones. It's like,
Nice. Very
yeah,
good.
yeah. But yeah, but it's
Kellyanne,
all good.
do you
Yeah.
have any questions? Kellyanne is the Canadian Goose. She's in Canada as we speak. She just got back from a whirlwind trip to Hawaii. She used to be the TikTok queen until they kind of banned her. But that's another story. And if you join Aardvark Interviews after show, I will tell you all about Kellyanne's incident with TikTok. Kellyanne, do you have any
I'll
questions?
provide the videos. I'm just kidding.
And then we're going
Um,
to go to Dr. Jose. But Kellyanne, do you have any questions for our esteemed guest, Mr. Brett Greene, front man, lead singer, guitarist, everything? The guy's he's a what do you call it? Uh, uh, what do you call it? Yeah, a
I,
genius.
yeah, I actually right away.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming to the show. It's an absolute pleasure having you here. And I kind of noticed when you were moving around, you're a little bit of a collector. If you just kind of move the camera to a bit, do you have Spider-Man
So
back
nice.
there?
I sure do.
I see
This Paul from last week. Excellent.
Paul from last week. Last
Yeah.
week. So, and I'm seeing someone green back there, and
Yeah, that is actually,
That's
talk
him.
about a head case. That's my head case.
that's your head case. So, can you tell us a
Well,
little bit about your collection?
for the collection,
Yeah, right behind you. Yeah.
it's just some assorted things, just Star
Oh,
Wars
Star
ephemera,
Wars.
just a bunch of different things, a menagerie of Star Wars figures over here,
Holy shit.
and yeah,
That's so cool. Is
just
that a crystal? Is that a crystal I see?
yeah, it is. It is. It's at my root, at my core is it's fantasy. I grew up kind of in fantasy, and thinking about like comic books and things like that. I'm not the only one. Gene Simmons was a guy like that too, but things panned out much better for him with Kiss. But as he's always said, I've met Gene. As he's always said, he wouldn't have had any kind of life if Kiss never came along. That's for
Is he a
sure.
really large man? He seems like he's a really large man. Is he large in
Uh,
real life?
no, but he is. He's larger than life. But one thing I will say about him is he has said, he's gone on record many times saying that like Bono and Mick Jagger could not do what he does with the 40 to 70 pounds worth of equipment that he packs on every night and running around. And he's over 70 years of age. He doesn't have to do this stuff anymore, but I guess he just loves throwing on all the stuff and doing his show. I mean, because
Wow.
he's his
Kid,
grandchildren won't spend all his money. Yeah,
so
what about it?
Kiss is still active, Mr. Green?
They're finally wrapping up their end of the road tour, and I saw them twice on this last tour before COVID. I went with some friends, and I went to see them in Brooklyn and at Madison Square Garden, just because I knew it's really the end, and they put on a spectacle. That's
Yeah.
all I'll say. It's if you've never been to a Kiss show, it's something to see just because I mean the musicianship that's ancillary to what they do. Yeah, they put on a great show. It's spectacle, and they learned from guys like David Bowie and of course Alice Cooper. You
Wow,
know,
Alice Cooper. Dr. Jose, what do you think about this? The whole culture of rock and roll. I know you're looking at a different view, a professional sociologist retired. What do you think? What do you think? Maybe per se, drugs and rock and roll and sex, like Kellyanne said. What did you say, Kellyanne?
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Oh, thank you, Kellyanne. Dr. Jose, what do you think
Got to get it
about
in
all
right
that?
order.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
Sure, sure. Heck, I mean, I think there's a whole lifestyle. There's a whole different reality to the drug culture when it was younger, as far as I understand. There was a rebellion against society. Don't trust anybody over 30, and we're going to do what we want. We're going to liberate our minds, and unfortunately, today you're liberating yourself from life when you do most drugs because we've got a horrible new situation with regard to fentanyl and a bunch of other things.
mm,
But
Fentanyl.
at another level, I mean, I can honestly expect, looking from the outside, of course, that there was a lot of creative juices flowing and a lot of things that you know, realizations or experiences that wouldn't have happened. I've in my past, I won't say that I was taken away, but I did a little dabbling, and there were a lot of experiences that just wouldn't
Dr. Jose,
be. Yes, sir.
Really?
continue,
Be,
continue.
but what you do and why you do it has a lot to do with. For example, I wonder in the case of Brett Greene, do you find yourself producing certain music because it's what will sell as opposed to what you really love?
Oh,
And did you
interesting
bond with
question.
different kinds of musics than what you actually practice?
Interesting.
that's a really good question. You know, I started playing music influenced by bands like, singer-songwriters like Bob Dylan and the Beatles, and then of course punk came out, and it was all about attitude and not so much about ability. And even going back to Elvis, it was, I mean, he had abled musicians, but it was also about the attitude, the way he was shaking his pelvis and stuff. It's a lot of
Hmm.
people forget that when he was first on television, they only showed like his head and chest. They would not show his waist because it was too much of a thing. Um, for me, I decided to go to school and study composition, and I wanted to develop my craft, and I've spent the better part of my adult life doing what my best to do that, to also kind of work on my vocal ability, things like that. It, it also brings into question. You raise a very good point there, Dr. Jose. It really brings into question what is art,
Hmm.
and some people think you know, like the late Frank Zappa, he could take a poop inside a tambourine on stage, and that was performance art. There was an article in the Village Voice years ago about performance art, and some aspects of it were quite sordid. Um, you know, I think like art is something that like moves people for better or for worse, and I've always kind of written stuff that just came to me, whether it be in like an orchestral kind of manner or just something really hardcore and punk. I was once quoted as saying that my musical taste ran from Mozart to the Sex Pistols,
Wow.
and
So,
everything in
you're
between.
following up on Dr. Jose's question, Mr.
Yeah,
Green.
yeah.
But was it in your mind, will this sell? Or did you just write for yourself? Was it in your mind, is this going to sell?
So, like, did you cater to your needs or everyone else's needs?
I think that's a tough question. I no, I never really you know, I never really consciously said, "Oh, I'm going to write some anthem that 100,000 people are going to sing in a stadium." I never really consciously said that, but at the same time, I was hoping to maybe write some music that would speak to people, that would move them. I mean, there's a lot of songwriters who are able to really reach people like U2, like Springsteen, like Pete Townsend from the Who. I mean, you listen to that song "Listening to You" off Tommy, and it's like it speaks to it spoke to a generation, and even Dylan. These guys wrote, but honestly, I don't know if they were thinking to themselves, "Oh, I'm going to write something anthematic." It's maybe they did consciously, maybe they didn't. I never really have. I'll reflect and say, "Hey, that sounds really cool." Later on, after I've created something, I'm like, that could have some commercial potential, but there've been a couple of instances where I'll write something. I'll be like, I want it to sound like a Springsteen-esque type of tune or something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
If I can ask you something, you mentioned Bowie, and in his case, what I recall, I mean, such a wide range, such a different set of musics from his early days through time. And I always wondered whether he was able to finally start generating the stuff that he wanted to, because he had already conquered the dollar, and he now had a name that people would follow and bond. Do you find that you might have move towards something that you wanted more easily later on in time, or was it something that you did right
Yeah.
from the get-go?
Yeah. When I was in school, I did a master's in composition over at NYU, and I'd be happy to share some of the some things with you at some other time. I can perhaps post some videos of recitals and things, but the reason I'm mentioning that is because um, in academia they really kind of impressed upon us to write serialistically and in a manner known as 12 tone, atonal music and things like that, and I adapted myself to that, and I was able to take that on and create stuff. But at some points, and I found myself enjoying it as I did it. But initially, I was just not into it because um, I like writing music that has a melody, that's some kind of melody that you can hum along to. Bowie, getting back to Bowie, a tremendous artist and a tremendous loss. I was just mentioning him to some colleagues today. We were puttering around with the song "Starman," which a lot of people don't know this, but that lyric in the chorus was basically the interval is an octave, and it was based on his association with the song "Somewhere Over the Rainbow." You
Holy
know, if you
crap!
listen,
I
yeah,
didn't know that.
if you listen to the song "Somewhere
Oh, that's
Starman,"
right. That's right.
yeah, yeah, and
He's a
it's the octave.
star man. I
Yeah,
can't sing it also. That's the problem there.
that's
But
that's the interval of an octave right there, and
Mr.
that's the
Green,
same.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
we're getting like notification. Can you perform at all, or is that impossible in the status where you're at? Because people from the
Sure,
audience are asking if you could do a little something. It's up to you.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Sing,
sure,
sing, 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 sing.
sure, sure.
You got to dance though, Kellyanne.
I don't have room to dance here.
Well, are
Wow.
you wearing pants, Kellyanne?
Today I
Not
am,
that,
yeah, because I'm traveling today. Later on tonight, I'm traveling, so
oh, so you're wearing pants, so
I'm
forget
wearing
about
that.
it.
So
Forget
don't
about it then. If you weren't wearing pants, I'd say please
dance
dance. Look at this. Look at this.
in my chair.
Yeah, this is
Let's
not Zoom.
grab
This
some.
is
Ready to go.
Restream.
Let's grab something here. I
Look at
got an
this.
acoustic over here, so could do something acoustically, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Well, if you like, I don't want to pressure on you.
I don't really know what to play. I'm on Andrew Kelly's show. Don't you know? With Dr. Hozey, Sister Kellyanne, too. Don't you know? All you guys are stars. Yes, you are. You know, music's got a great
That's
power.
beautiful, man. This is beautiful. Wow, and we didn't set this up. He didn't know this was going to happen or anything. And look at this. The man's a talent. He's what do you call it when you're before your time? There's a word for that, Kellyanne.
You're asking me for words.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
just asked the doctor.
All right.
Wow.
That was great. Thank you so much for doing that.
No sweat. No sweat. That was just, that was just kind of like improvised.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was great. Are you working on anything right
Stuff
now?
that you got before rap. Now that's music. That's good.
I've got a couple of studios that I work out of, and I was kind of rummaging through some old tracks today of something that I wrote for someone who had a very profound impact upon me, and I was just puttering around with a bunch of different tracks. It's I can be doing more, as far as working on music. There's sometimes that I have prolific periods where I'm working a lot on different ideas, and sometimes where it's like fallow, like I'm kind of idle and I'm just doing other things. And lately I've been occupied with a lot of other things. So
Yeah.
I just haven't been really working on as much music as I'd like.
Right.
And,
Well, you just had a child recently as well. Is that
yeah.
true, Mr. Green?
Yeah, that is true. And
Congratulations.
thank you, and I play for him, and he enjoys it. He loves music.
That's beautiful.
He does love music, and
Yeah.
and most people do.
Yeah,
Most
I,
people
I, I tried playing and singing to children, but they mostly screamed and ran away.
We
And
cried, yeah.
and their parents said lawsuits to me. So basically, I had to stop it. Yeah, some restraining orders and this and that. But,
I doubt that. I doubt
I don't doubt it.
that.
What's the baby's favorite song? An audience member is asking. Interesting question. Thank you,
He
Miss
does.
Maroney. Is that a boy or a girl's name, Kellyanne? Maroney.
Definitely a girl's name.
Is it a
Marinee.
girl? Okay.
Beautiful
He
name.
does. He does like the Barney song. He
The
does like the
Barney
Barney
song.
song.
What is
Ooh,
that? What is the Barney song?
that would drive me nuts.
It's something like this. I love you. You love me. And if I continue, you're going to have to pay them a royalty.
Tea.
So,
Yeah, we don't.
Kind of
We
short
don't.
film. It's a good thing.
We're not good at paying royalties on the show, but we are good at having rock stars on the show, as Mr. Green is. Yeah, we have a Barney is a big purple dinosaur.
Dinosaur.
Thank,
Yeah.
that's
thank
right.
you.
That's right.
Maybe we'll have
Man.
Barney on the show one day.
It could happen. We had Spider-Man last week.
Yeah, you
Now,
never know.
there's a segment of the show called Kelly's Questions. Brett, lower your camera, please. I don't know what that means. I guess that's a technical thing. Oh. So, Kellyanne, do you have questions for Mr. Brett Greene, rock superstar?
I'm waiting for Teddy. Is he on the toilet?
Why? Oh, now she wants a promotion.
Where's my
Gee,
promotion,
gee,
Teddy?
Boy, boy, you
yeah.
got
I hope
I'm not
everything
doing
comes out all
anything.
right.
no. She got spoiled now. She got spoiled now. She likes her
Okay,
little
I'll go
promo.
ahead. I'll go ahead and ask a question, and you kind of you sparked it. It's something that you said. But what is the worst piece of advice that you've ever gotten?
Oh, that's a good question.
As far as the creative arts, as far as
Yeah,
music,
exactly. As far as music
Wow.
goes.
Damn, that's a good question.
don't do it. Don't do it.
Wow.
Ooh,
Don't do it, or you suck, or something like that. The expression, guys. There's hate is gonna hate. There's always haters. There are always people out there who will demean you, who will put you down, who get their kicks out of kicking you down, and that's why it's so important when you come across people who are advocates for your creativity to really cherish them. And that's where now I've got to give a shout out to the late Jack Marino, who was a musical partner of mine for many years. He got sick, he passed away, and he was the drummer of my group, and
Wow.
a dear friend, who basically just kind of lived to play my music,
Oh,
yeah, and irreplaceable in that regard. He just was very old school, very, very old school, very childlike with his enthusiasm with regards to the creative process. And if I'll just go on just one moment longer about it, he was kind of like metaphorically like this guy who would carry forth the flag of Brett Greene's creativity, Brett Greene's
wow.
creative spirit, and just march forward into whatever into whatever quagmire we would encounter, whatever it was. He was the guy, and I still do miss him. Great guy.
Okay.
Good,
I
damn,
would answer
damn
one
good
quick
drummer
question.
too. Yeah.
If you had to pick a direction, just to give me a rough idea, and I were to tell you the choices were, let's say, Sabicas, Al Di Meola, and Led Zeppelin, which direction would you gravitate towards?
What was the first one?
Sabicas, Spanish guitar, flamenco.
Oh. They all hold. They all hold their intrinsic quality, their special intrinsic qualities. Although Di Meola, it's like kind of jazz fusion. I kind of really do aspire to stuff like that. I think it's off the charts. Again, they all possess their own qualities, and even a band like Zeppelin, there's such a broad spectrum there. if you listen to songs like Cashmere or Ramble On,
Oh yeah.
and then Heartbreaker, just to name just a few. There's such a vast a vast array of kind of timbral and stylistic differences among those. So, it's diversity is where it's at. Really, diversity is where it's at, and too many artists get pigeonholed into being that one expressive element that their audiences expect. Going back to what we were talking about with Bowie, he was so diverse, and and just wrapping things up with him, he did want to be a little bit commercial. That's why when he did the Let's Dance record, he brought on Nile Rodgers, and basically that it was all about being commercial. And I don't know if you guys know, but that was his most commercially successful record.
Niles Rodgers, great producer.
Yeah,
You know,
All right.
Brett, we
nice
actually
guy too.
we got a question from the audience, and the question says, does Brett have a favorite guitarist? Maybe
Wow.
someone he would love to record a song with, anyone from any time or any place.
Oh shit,
Wow.
that's a big.
That's a really good question.
It's an amazing question.
Yeah.
And that was the beautiful Marini.
Who is this Marini? Is she hot? Does she want to go out with the Aardvark? I mean,
obviously one of my fans, Andrew.
Thanks.
Better run the show.
I'm just teasing.
I've had the opportunity over the years. Just I don't know. I've been this kind of zealot character where I've in Forrest Gump combined, where I've met so many of these guys too. Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I've had the opportunity to jam with some of my heroes, and even just little jams. But I don't really know. Creating a song. There's a couple of really hotshot guitar players that are coming up now, who are really amazing. Really, just amazing. Jasmine Starr's one of them, and you could see her on YouTube. She's amazing, and a lot of great shredders who are coming up these days. So there's a couple of people that I have in mind that if there's a tune that I come up with and I just want some crazy shredding, meaning just like giga playing. I mean. And that's what I mean by that is just playing like a Paganini style guitar, where you're just playing these. Yeah, he was and he was actually a guitar player too. I found out. Yeah, of all things, he's known for the violin, but
holy shit.
Yeah, he's known for violin, but he actually played a guitar in Italy. And
wow.
he was really great at that too, apparently. So, I mean, if you guys have ever heard of Steve Vai, guys like that, they play rapidly. They play these passages that are often quite melodic, but they can also play like a million notes at once.
I was talking to somebody about a guy called Estes who's around lately.
Estes, yeah, I saw him on PBS as a
Golden Dragon.
Yeah. But can you all have Jasmine Starr? Where'd Kellyanne go? And the other person? I missed his name. Maybe. We'll see. Set that up. Where'd Kellyanne go? All right. So Kellyanne's gone. I guess she's upset that nobody played her music. So
Kellyanne's got some of her own music?
Yeah, she went out to get her music right now. But Dr. Hozey, here's a question for you. Recently somebody passed away, was a member of a band that, let's see, what was the band? The guy who used to play the drums or something for
the Foo Fighters?
Yeah, the Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people, right away, I noticed a assemblage of people thought right away it must have been drugs. Do you think when a musician dies, people right away think it must be drugs?
Well, I guess if it's a classical violinist, maybe not. Maybe a rock star, much more prone to go that way. Then again, some of the most surprising people in the world do things that we wouldn't expect. It's like
But it's not only for music. It's like show business people and things like that. Drugs seem
I think
to be attached.
that I think the concept of excess might be
Excess.
fundamental to that whole thing. So whether it be drugs or overeating or whatever,
Okay, oversexed.
there you go.
All right.
Why
So
not?
we'll go back to Kelly's questions. Could you play the music for Teddy so she'll be
So I
happy
don't
and
pout for the rest of the week.
yeah, she'll be crying the whole week. So thank you, Teddy.
Please, Teddy. He said he can run this podcast from the toilet. Obviously, we called him out on it. Okay, I'm just going to go to my next question without Teddy.
Well, that was quick. Jesus, Teddy. Stop acting like a child.
Thank you, Teddy. I love you, Teddy. My actually question was, what was the biggest risk that you took?
Risk.
Like getting into, like I'm a risk taker on anything I do in life, and I'm probably pretty reckless too. But what was your biggest risk that you ever took to get into the industry?
I guess striking out on my own and building a studio. Been on the Lower East Side of Manhattan in the early '90s, which was still somewhat dangerous. It was pre-Starbucks. It was Delancey Street in the Lower East Side was not hanging out on the Lower East Side was not what it is now. No way. Now it's hip and trendy, and it's people want to try to recapture this bohemian thing, walking around like this, and it's not there. So I guess that was it. Yeah.
That's I can't even imagine like being in New York. I just feel like the competition and everything. It must be it's hard, just hard. I don't know. I'm not in the industry, so but I'm trying to get my daughter into it. Maybe you can hook her up.
Oh, she's a good singer.
My daughter's an amazing singer. I'm going to try to have her as a guest.
Very good.
But can you tell us a fun fact about yourself?
Fun fact.
Just some random fun fact.
Wow. I enjoy scuba diving.
Oh shit.
Ooh.
Didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then I have to ask the question: where the hell do you scuba dive in New York?
East River, babe.
You don't. You got to go. I've been out. I've done Hawaii a few times. I've done Big Island once, and I've done Maui, and I did Oahu, and I kind of freaked out and had a little panic attack in the Red Sea once.
Red Sea, wow.
Yeah, in the Red Sea. Yeah, that's I thought I was going to
float
step
as easily as you thought you could.
No, for whatever reason, I don't know. It was only in 15 feet of water, and whatever reason, it's like I think the statistics are like 20 to 30% of divers are going to have a panic attack once in their lifetime, and it was just kind of weird. I kept worrying about stepping on a stonefish, or something like that. I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it as much, but I've gone about 24 times, and that's the furthest in the Middle East, and it's a wonderful thing. You are forced to stay in the moment. It's a wonderful thing, and it's all about breathing and enjoying the fish and attaining neutral buoyancy and just having a blast. So,
when you're underwater, like I know I was snorkeling and my mask kept fogging up, and this when you're scuba diving, does it fog up or no?
Well, they teach you how to take your mask off and put it back on.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. In
I got a
fact,
few phobias about that.
to get certified, you got to be able to do that. You really got to be able to do that, and it's not a big deal. You can clear your mask underwater. It's really not a big deal.
What about the life-threatening aspect of it? Did that add to the experience? Like jumping out of an airplane was something that
That I wouldn't do. That I wouldn't do because it's like that's a parachute. It's not much of a risk. Scuba diving. It really isn't. You just breathe. I mean, there's risks walking out the door.
I hear you.
If
I
you're
think if staying down too long or coming up too fast, I've heard
yeah,
a few things that I've
yeah.
not experienced.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I have unreasonable fears, like being swallowed by a great white that's the size of a school bus. You know,
No, yeah, but what would happen if that great white was playing the guitar?
he'd be a rock lobster. He'd be
Yeah, that's my
yeah,
favorite, man. B-52s, rock lobster,
yeah,
lobster. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. We had another question in from the audience, and it said, "Could you all have Jasmine Star and the other person missed the name on the Aardvark? I can't even say the name right on
I
the
don't know.
Aardvark podcast."
All right, you got to get the name right, Kellyanne.
Well, Jasmine Star. See if you can get Kiki Mongo on there. I've never met her.
Yeah, let's write these names down, Kellyanne.
Kiki
Well,
Wong.
I'm reading
Kiki
it off the
Wong.
side of the screen.
Kiki Wong. But if you get Kiki, tell her that I recommended her.
Kiki.
She's a shredder, and she's based out on the West Coast. I don't know Kiki. I'd like to know. I sent her some information before about maybe.
And
The magic of the internet.
Where did he go? Drove another one away, Kellyanne. Asking too many questions. All right, so
isn't that what this podcast is about? We ask questions and give us answers.
Yeah, we ask questions and get rid of our guests.
There he is.
Oh,
there
what happened? What happened? What happened there?
He just left.
Oh, maybe he switched. Did you switch?
Kellyanne, don't do that anymore.
I don't know what happened.
Now let me ask you a question. Kellyanne's into all kind of magical voodoo superstitions and all that. She in fact is into something called moon water. She takes a glass of water and some shit and puts it out on her, I don't know, threshold or so, on her ledge or something. And then she had one problem though. She forgot to cover it in the Canadian pigeon shit in the water. But are you into any of this magical crystals and moon waters or anything like this, Mr. Greene?
I will say this: there's a lot that's unknown.
Hmm.
There's so much that's unknown. Up until 100 years ago, all the scientists in all the world thought that the Milky Way was the only galaxy in this entire cosmos. They thought that was the universe.
I like
They thought the Milky Way. They thought the Milky Way was the universe, and the Milky Way, which our solar system is in, is comprised of a couple of 100 billion stars. Maybe two to 400 billion stars, but it's not the only galaxy in the universe.
There's
Andromeda.
more?
There's billions of galaxies in the universe, and Andromeda, which is our closest neighboring galaxy, has 1 trillion stars in it.
You know what? Let me ask you a question. There's a lot of crazy talk out there about the Earth being round. Do you think the Earth is round or flat, Mr. Greene?
It's round. It's round.
You think so too? Wow.
Stranger than true.
We're not pizza shaped. We're actually like a ball.
Well, it's easy, Mr. Kelly. It's really easy for people to be myopic and to look at things just in one particular way. call me a liberal. I don't know. I think we're all better off to be broad-minded, but I'm not here to tell anybody what to think. It's really up to them. But I will say, you asked me what I think, and I think there's a lot that we don't know. I think there's a lot that we don't know, and I have no problem saying it. I kind of get a little afraid when I meet people who kind of try to come off like they know everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I
We
can't
had
stand those
a
people.
comment in the chat saying if the Earth was flat by now, the cats would have pushed everything on Earth over the edge.
That brings up a good question. Let's have a panel poll right now. Start off with Mr. Brett Greene. Cats or dogs?
I don't know. Dogs, I guess.
Kellyanne, the Canadian Goose. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Dr. Hozey, cats or dogs?
I'm right in that same bandwagon. Roof, roof.
And the aardvark, of course, goes roof, roof. So I'm sorry, it's a shutout. The dogs win. Marigeny, sorry, but this is not a cat show. There is a podcast though about cats on another station, I believe. So I think it's called the Cat Channel. All right. Do you have Kellyanne? Do you have any Kellyanne and Dr. Jose? Do you have any closing questions for our great guest, Dr. Brett Greene? He probably is a doctor as well. I've heard a lot of musicians go after their doctorates. I don't care for cats; they're predators. All right, thank you.
If I can ask one quick question. Is there any one piece of music or something that shocked you in that you didn't think it would go anywhere and it was one of the better accepted pieces? Anything like that ever happened to you?
Good question.
The work of Arnold Schoenberg, who was kind of known for his serialism in 12-tone and 8-tonal music, and post-tonal theoretical analysis music, stuff like that, set theory, things like that. These are things that I'm kind of a little shocked. Oh, I guess also Cardi B and Kanye.
Of course.
But people, different strokes for different folks.
Kellyanne, let me ask you, Dr. Jose, do you have a follow-up question? I'm sorry.
No. I was trying to find. I was asking whether something of yours might have surprised you that was more.
Something of mine?
Something that some of my own music that I created.
Music that you expected not to be as accepted as it was, or anything like that.
There's things that I write that I've stood back and said, "Damn, that's pretty good." That could. Like sometimes I'll say, "Yeah, well, maybe that will be enjoyed by the masses posthumously."
That's it. Brings up a good question. How do you get inspired to write music, Mr. Greene? Is there a way that you can hook in to this creation process?
Sometimes I've written songs after for people in recognition of their memory. When someone has passed on or something like that. A lot of the time, for me, music is all about being a deeply moving, a profound kind of experience. But at the same time, it could be very light. Just put something together. Just you want to play loud and fast. So that's the punk in me.
That's interesting because I've heard some great classic music was written in like 10 minutes or something.
Oh, yeah.
And then other music, it takes maybe a year or something.
Yeah. So some guys, and it's not just the masters. Mr. Kelly. Like when people say the masters, like the big difference between like a guy like Beethoven and Mozart is Mozart just spit the stuff out as
Right.
easy as a conversation, as easily as drinking a glass of water, easier than drinking a glass of water. Beethoven had a struggle, but on a contemporary level, there are guys who just some of the best songs that have ever been written just they knock them out like
Yeah.
in a moment. And then there are the guys who labor, and and sometimes they put something out that's great, sometimes not so much.
All right, let me ask you a question. Do you think it's hard turning your back on the business? I know for me as an actor, a working actor, I just finished a movie the other day and this and that. I'm up for a whole bunch of other things. But it's very hard for me to say, I want to just retire, relax in Honolulu or some shit like that. It's very hard for me to turn my back on the acting profession. Do you think it's hard for you as a prodigy? That was the word I was looking for earlier. A musical prodigy, esteemed, singer, to turn your back and say, it's enough. Can you do that, or is it impossible?
um I still want to be active in music to some degree, one way or another, even if I'm taking like a back seat where I'm writing music for other artists to perform,
Mhm.
um, where I tailor a particular or craft a particular song for with someone with a vocalist in mind.
Okay.
Yeah. Um,
Do you have a website or something? As our audience members, in case they want a song written or something, with the big management companies, UMG or whoever. I had a dispute with UMG the other day, but all right. I take back what I said. I'll make amends to you, Universal Music Group. All right. Do you have a website or anything on social media where people can contact you or great audience members and say, this Brett rocks on?
there is a website that's still up called www.palmnewyork.com, PALMNEWYORK.com. It did have some links to some songs at one point. The gentleman who was managing my feeds for the links, he got kind of paranoid about being involved with it for whatever reason, and so I went from having a few thousand hits on these songs on YouTube
Yeah.
to just basically a couple of dozen because
Yeah.
we changed the links. But
Oh, there we go.
Is that it?
yeah, that is it. That is it.
Oh,
Yeah,
how the hell did he
and
find that so quick?
yeah, and there's some photos up there, and I don't know if you can
Oh,
access the same old story, but or Fire and You,
wow.
but I don't know if you could still access that. But that's
Oh,
us
wow. That's
performing. Yeah,
really cool.
pretty neat.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, those are some vintage photos.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
that's down in Coney Island, Brooklyn. Yeah,
Wow.
down by the aquarium. Yeah,
What year is that? 2003.
yeah, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Nah, you still got it, man.
Definitely.
And, yeah. As Rocky said to,
That's a great photo.
yeah, as Rocky said to Apollo Creed, keep
Wow,
swinging,
look at that
Apollo.
hair.
Wow, look at that. He still is a handsome man, I
Who
gotta
is a
say.
handsome man? What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
I wouldn't toss him out of bed. All right, now Kellyanne, we have are you promoting anything? We have a section called Shameless Promotions. Are you promoting anything, Mr. Brett Greene?
Me? One of my shameless promotions. Wow, that's really kind of funny. I used to use that as an expression when I used to hand out um, leaflets to people to come see my group. If it was like it's free, come down. I'm shamelessly promoting my band. You know, No, I'm just another bozo on the bus. I'm just a worker among workers these days, and if I'm gonna go on a tour or put a new group together, then maybe I'll start like talking myself up. But part of the reason I think we didn't garner as much success as we could have is because I wasn't one of these like social media hounds. I was just, there's a lot of guys that really are able to utilize social media to an incredibly successful level.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's great. And perhaps at some point in time, I'll prostitute myself on social media.
I do it every day. Do it every
That
day.
may seem like a harsh word, but
No,
but
Yeah, if you
but
utilize it to promote yourself, it's great. But
yeah,
social media can take you down. Just talking
yeah.
from my own experience.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Queen of TikTok.
I had someone once say to me, "You've been involved with this organization for 15 years." I was like, "How'd you find that out?" And they found some interview with me from years ago, and I was astounded because sometimes people have nothing better to do, and they just spend their days and nights, I guess, obsessing or scouring the internet, kind of. What's the word I'm looking for? They become obsessed with a person, and they
Yeah,
what's the
it's
word?
easy to stalk people online. I actually have a quick question though.
Stalking. That's the word.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to
So
avoid that. I've never stalked anyone.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what was your first job? I haven't. Okay.
okay.
What was? I mean it. What
Okay.
was your
Okay.
first job? Andrew, don't talk.
He's
What
not
was your
buying it.
first job, Brett? What was your first paid gig? And when? Like, can you just tell us that? I'm
Oh, that's
really
interesting.
interested now.
That's interesting. But
Save me a bit of time.
it could have been asked like 40 minutes ago. But it's an interesting question.
Got to think that one through. It's a
Yeah.
long time. We had some paid street fair gigs. We had some paid college gigs, things like that. I tell you, I was recalling to a friend of mine one of my earliest gigs where I played the Mason Hall at Baruch College on 23rd
Right.
Street. The capacity is over 1,000 people. It was like close. It was close to 2,000 people. The place was packed, and it was largely an African American audience, and I had a band backing me up singing a cover of the late Glenn Fry's song "You Belong to the City."
Oh,
And
wow.
I was terrified. I was a kid basically, and I was terrified. And I strode on out on that stage and did my thing, and the crowd loved me. They embraced me,
Oh.
and just the roar. I just remember the rush, that I felt from this crowd of people who didn't know me from a hole in the wall, and it was just like. Not what they were expecting, and they dug it. So instead of digging me a grave, they dug what I was doing.
You had a ride. Okay.
That's pretty cool. That's amazing.
Let me ask you something quick. Is it music first or lyrics first, or how does that work?
Good question.
That's a brilliant question.
It's
So there's
just
there's three ways to write a song. There's three ways to write music. You write, you strum some chords on a guitar, and you have a melody and lyrics follow. Okay, that's one way. Then you get some kind of melody in your head, a tune, if you will, and then you assign lyrics and chord changes around the melody. And then the third way is you have lyrics that you set music to. So that's
an excellent question.
Do
All
you have a
right.
more comfortable way?
We got to wrap up soon. So thank you, Dr. Hozey, for your pertinent question.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Mr. Brett Greene from the Ultra Sound Sonic Band.
Easy when I recall the past. Beautiful. You made my day to call that up.
I like this.
There's a fire.
I wish I was a drummer.
Wow. Do you
Beautiful.
recognize?
Very nice.
Do you recognize that band?
That's Palm.
I know. Just,
Yeah, Teddy pulled up the wrong footage.
Oh,
was a
that's
great-
great.
that was a pretty good song, though, right?
Great.
Thank you.
All right. On a final note, it's contest
Wait,
time.
wait, can I just can I ask you
No,
one really
no,
quick
you can't.
question?
The last one was terrible. No, go ahead.
It popped in my head, but Brett, do you play any other instrument besides guitar?
So keyboards and bass and
Yeah.
trumpet.
See,
Just
people
about
like you
just
to
about
play
anything.
it.
Just
Okay.
about anything.
Okay, Mr. Brett Greene will be the judge now. The contest between Kellyanne, the Canadian Goose, and Dr. Hozey. Each of you sing one line of the song "You Belong to the City." Kellyanne, start us off. Start us off.
You know, I've been sick, so I can't.
I know. None of us can. All right, go ahead, Kelly.
I don't know what the line of the song is.
What's a line from the song, Brett? He's frozen. Okay, so
I
that
have
was
no idea myself.
That was a great contest. We had a good time with that
Good,
contest.
good. I'm frozen too.
You're so full of shit. Your mind.
The city.
Well, go ahead.
We're
Go,
frozen, so we don't have to sing.
go ahead,
It's
Doctor.
over.
Go ahead, Dr. Hozey. Sing one line.
I don't belong to the city. I mean, what can I tell you?
Thanks, Dr. Hozey. Green. If you have any, notifications, you want somebody to write a beautiful song, you could hear the magic in that song we just played for you. Get in touch with Brett Greene. Get in touch with me or Kellyanne or anybody. We'll direct you to Mr. Brett Greene.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. That's my cover of Goldfinger. How'd you find that? Far out. Far out. You guys rock. I happen to like James Bond. I can't believe you found this. Awesome.
A spider's touch, such a cold finger beckons you to enter his web of sin.
Don't let him in.
Don't go in.
I get the words wrong.
Golden words he will pour in your ear.
Yeah, big Bond fan.
His lies can't disguise what you feel.
So we did a cover of this.
Ah,
Knows when he's kissed her. It's the kiss of death from Mr. Goldfinger. Pretty girl, beware of his heart of gold. This heart is cold. Golden words he will pour in your ear.
it's beautiful.
I can't believe you found this. I'm kind of like
That
blown
was
away.
beautiful, man.
Thank you, Teddy. See?
Teddy's a genius. What can I say?
He is. He is.
Thank you, Brett. Yeah.
All right, we're
Now-
going to
now
close
I-
it. Go ahead,
Teddy.
Kel.
I'm
What,
gonna get
what?
tips from Teddy how to stalk people. Not that I've ever done it before, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, yes. Don't stalk people, Kellyanne. All right. Thank you, Dr. Hozey, for being on. Thank you, Kellyanne, the Canadian Goose, who is going to not stalk people. And thank you, Mr. Brett Greene. You heard the music. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's all from Brett Greene's website that I guess he's forgotten about, but we haven't forgotten about Mr. Brett Greene. That song was beautiful. What do you think, guys?
I loved it. Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you came today, Brett.
Brett, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for
I
affording me this privilege there, Mr. Kelly. I
I
really
feel
appreciate
honored.
it.
I feel honored to call you.
I do
a-
too.
Yeah, thank you. And that's our show tonight. Aardvark Interviews every Monday night, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're in Canada, what time would that be, Kelly?
It's 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, thank you, Kellyanne. Thank you, Dr. Hozey, for your professional analysis of some of these questions that we had on our minds.
Well, peace and blessings.
And
Always fun being here.
also, Hello Hooray is the production company, right, Kellyanne?
Hello, Hooray is the production company.
Thank you, Kellyanne.
Confidence there.
Good stuff.
Mwah.
Okay.